And we're live with Sunil Rosen. Sunil, thank you so much for joining me. This is part of our Member Spotlight edition, our episode Member Spotlight with Georgetown, the Corp, which is like one of the OGs. It dates back quite a ways with, I have to say, the most unique story for how a program got launched that I've ever heard of. And so it's probably the most unique story for getting launched.
Yeah.
Super cool story. Let me turn it over to you, Sunil, just quickly. And I didn't introduce myself. I guess I should do that. My name's Owen Reich. I'm president for the Student Run Business Association, one of the founders, founding board member. And I've been doing this and focusing on this podcast. I've been doing this whole thing for like 12 years, working on better ways to learn by doing business. I've been doing this podcast deal for just like 6 months. Our goal is to like bring attention for the public and for the members of the SRBA, anybody out there, like to the incredible things that have been getting done and that students are doing now, to show like their ability to learn and lead businesses and drive real change. We take a special interest in these student-run business organizations like the Corp, that's what we call them, places where students are in charge of the companies, everything top to bottom. But the Corp, again, like sets records in that regard. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay, over to you, Sunil, for a quick intro.
absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having me. My name is Sunil. I'm a junior at Georgetown, and I'm the CEO of the Corp. And yes, it has been a crazy history. This is our 54th year, and a lot of ups and downs. We started off back in 1972, selling Diet Coke out of a little locker. Just a couple of students. We just started this business, and yeah, through increasing services, we opened up a variety.
Is it true back then, or maybe this is part of the story you're getting to, but was it started in part in response to like the local and on campus like police forces coming in during the protests for Vietnam?
Exactly. Yes,
Are you
that's
getting to that? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's exactly right. So that's how it started, and yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. We've opened up, a variety of different things. There was Corp travel, Corp writing, there was an ice cream store, and I can sort of get into also what we have now, but it has taken on so many different forms over the last 55
The
years.
ice cream store. I just quick like tidbit. When I was at Marquette starting their student run business program there, I had somebody I met with. I was fortunate to meet with him like 2 months before he passed, and he's a very old guy. His natural causes kind of passing, and I found a photo like in for the court. You know what? I'm going to pause there, but I didn't actually. I don't think I knew that you did ice cream. I just mixed up HSA and you guys because HSA had a little ice cream truck that was like horse-drawn or
Yeah.
something.
So we had a small ice cream store, and it was only open for, I believe, a year or two. It was very, very small. And it was right off of campus. It was called the Cone Zone.
That's cool.
And yeah, it was a cool little service. But it speaks to, the variety of things that we have gone through over the past 50 years. But yeah, and now we've sort of completely evolved into a more coffee and convenience kind of company.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So now you personally are the new. Tell me about your role with the firm. How did you start? What's your new position?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I started my freshman fall by just applying to the Corp as a cashier at one of our convenience stores, Vital Vittles. And that's how everybody sort of starts off. You start off at like the lowest level employee, just, hired as a new job. And
Mhm.
then you can sort of make your way into leadership. So my freshman spring, I became the director of purchasing for Vital Vittles, which in my role entailed basically controlling the inventory and managing the vendor relationships for the store. So that store specifically, we had probably roughly 1 million to 1.3 million in revenue every year, and we had probably 4,000 products roughly through 15 different vendors. So definitely a large thing to manage, but that was sort of my role, just keeping up the inventory, ordering specific product, bringing in new products to the store, And then, yeah. And then after that, I decided to sort of take the next level to the corp-wide leadership, stepping from the convenience store level to now this entire broader corp leadership. And now I became the CEO. So
when did you make that move?
this was, I got hired at the beginning of this year. So roughly late January.
And what year are you?
I'm a junior now.
Junior. Yeah.
So
So
I'll be the CEO.
advanced at a steady pace. I think I've met with a Corp sophomore that was CEO.
Yeah, it usually takes the place of a sophomore or a junior, because the timeline, it's a full year cycle. So
Well, I was blown away by like, I thought that's a little like aggressive.
Yeah,
That was pretty
for
quick.
the most part, it's juniors, just because you end up, usually people will have like the service level leadership and then move from the service level leadership into the corp-wide leadership, as I did. But yeah, occasionally there'll be a sophomore here and there as well.
It's still pretty good clip to move from cashier to CEO. And what are your total revenues right now and the counts on the number of businesses?
Roughly 4 million on everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And so what are your like top two or three?
Yeah. So overall, we have 11 different departments, 4 internal and 7 external.
Wow.
In terms of external storefronts, we have 4 coffee shops, 2 convenience stores, and then a catering service. And then our internal departments consist of accounting, IT, marketing, and HR. And so between, you said that our 2 most successful probably consist of our coffee shop in the library. I mean, I feel like that sort of makes sense. You know, it's called the Midnight Mug. It's on the second floor of the library. And it does very well just because of the nature of the students being there. And then in terms of our convenience stores, I mentioned Vital Vittles as well, which is our largest store, definitely. And in terms of revenue, that's the largest, as roughly $1 to $1.23-ish million a year.
Wow. Yeah, that's a serious store. I remember going in there and thinking this is like kind of like a grocery store. If I remember, it just felt it's pretty big. I love talking to you guys because you went into food service. We pick on Harvard student agencies because they've never done it, but they've talked about it a lot. They came up with like a reason why they don't do it now, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Flyer Enterprises at the University of Dayton, actually they came over and did a visit to the Corp a few years ago, but they have like 7 or 8 different food service businesses too.
Yeah.
It's not super common. I interviewed Pace in Pleasantville, New York. They basically run all of on-campus food service, which is super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's a very tiny campus, so it is awesome. Small asterisk. And but yeah, you guys are like probably the original then to do food service, because you're old.
Definitely. Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, so cool. Thanks for giving us a little bit like on your own background, a little bit on the organization. One thing I wanted to highlight with the org, we touched on briefly, but it's the fact that you were founded in response to these protests. Like, if I remember correctly, it was basically that the students wanted a way to come up with money to support their efforts, or to have like independence from the school, because they were so upset that the police were allowed to like really physically and kind of violently clamp down on the protests that were happening, which those protests were also featured. You and I talked about this a little bit off screen. What was the movie The Exorcist?
Yes.
Which was filmed on campus. The protests were kind of got a shout out. Okay, yeah. So am I getting the story right? Like why it was founded that way?
Exactly.
Could you pick up there and talk about the fact that there are like not, maybe now you're getting into it, but for years there haven't been like any faculty presence at all, or non-student, is pretty much all students.
Yeah. It is entirely student run. We have an external board, which is 4 members, and they get hired every year. They're basically people who didn't join the Corp their freshman or sophomore or junior year, but are sort of there to provide that like external insight into the student body. And these are also students as well. So we have sort of that aspect, but there's no.
It's great. Like you've got students that are overseen by also students.
Exactly. Yes.
But it works really well.
It does, because those external people can sort of, sometimes the Corp is definitely a strong community, and it takes a big time commitment. It's a lot of what, you know, each person has an experience at Georgetown. So the external perspective can be very helpful, because they'll, you know, be a part of different clubs. They'll be a part of different organizations on campus as well. So they can sort of provide that insight to the people who maybe don't have as much time or access to those organizations. So it definitely is awesome to have them as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's terrific. And I think it gives people a chance to put different hats on. Like, you know, how do I be a responsible and effective board member
Yeah.
versus operator? And like, how is that relationship between the two? Is that true? Does it play out like that? I haven't really gotten to know enough about the operations on campus. Like I mentioned off screen, I've been there a couple times, but yeah, what's that dynamic like
Yeah,
between
totally.
you and
So
the oversight?
we have 4 different board members. We have the chair of the board, we have our philanthropy chair, we have engagement chair, and development chair. So engagement and philanthropy are very much, you know, it's kind of in the name. It's engagement with the student body. So we have a lot of events that we host at our services. We have a lot of partnerships with other student communities and student body and the rest of the student body. So that's where they come in terms of like, how can we, you know, reach the entirety of a campus? Our motto is students serving students. That's sort of what we are base everything off of. So that's a huge part of where we are. It's how can we sort of branch out and get to know, you know, different parts of campus. So I would say those two are big things. They also, the philanthropy chair is very involved in the organization of our annual Corp Gala, which last year we did in partnership with the IRC. We're finalizing what we're going to do for this year right
The
now.
IRC.
The International Rescue Committee.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
I don't know what that is.
It's a great cause, but it's local to DC.
Okay.
And yeah, so this year we may pivot. We're sort of finalizing what we're going to do for this year. But
Nice.
anyways, the Corp Gala is just a great way for everybody to sort of come together,
Yeah.
celebrate the year,
Well,
dress
this
up.
is another thing that you're really like, that the Corp has a reputation for that's unique about what you guys do, which is that you donate a lot of money, which is
Yeah,
crazy because we're all like struggling to survive. You know, the student. So it's a tough world, and then you're donating a lot.
exactly. And we also have scholarships as well. We have affinity and interest groups that, you know, have different scholarships. So we'll have a scholarship for, you know, the Asian community, for the Black community, Latinx community, so on and so forth. So we have those as well in our philanthropic efforts.
Do you know about how much not to return to this too much, but do you know about how much you donate each year, the Corp?
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head in terms of the total amount. We'll have our scholarship numbers will be anywhere from $250 to $1,000 per person, and we'll give them out to. Yeah, it really sort of depends on the year, and yeah, I don't have the total numbers off the top of my head, but it's a significant amount. It definitely is a lot. And another part of our aspect is we're very proud of the fact that we have over $1 million in wages given to students every year. So that's a huge part of what we do. Deal. Yeah, students serving students once again. So we're very proud of that fact.
Yeah, you know, I just want to highlight that when the OpenAI, you've been following them a bit. I don't know how into it have you gotten? You use AI? You use the GPT?
So I'm a computer science major and an economics major.
Okay.
So
you know what? That's the other thing I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's put a pen in this for a second.
Sure.
Pen in the AI thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you come from? What's your background?
So I just mentioned I'm a computer science and economics major. I grew up in Boston. And Georgetown's always been sort of my dream school. I applied early. I loved it. My brother went here. I visited. I loved it when I visited him. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I've had an amazing experience here thus far.
Well, what's the main thing that motivated you to go there? Do you know? I mean, it sounds like you kind of
It's
grew up thinking a lot about it.
it's a couple different things. So I'm originally from Boston, or right outside of Boston, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And I wanted to stay somewhere in the area, so like the northeast-ish area, which was nice. DC is only about an hour and a half flight away.
Mhm.
I wanted, a school sort of in or near a city. I like the city vibe. So that sort of boils it down to New York. There's Philly. There's DC, Boston, Providence. Um, Georgetown, obviously, great school, great caliber school. So loved that aspect to it. And I also think there's this is the special part about this school is that everybody sort of has a place. Everybody has their own niche. And there's a place for everybody. And I thought that aspect is really, really awesome, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do going into Georgetown. I went to a small private high school where the classes were very much like basic, like history, economics, all that kind of like basic low level stuff. There wasn't much like creative electives. So I wanted to go to Georgetown thinking that, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, but there's always going to be a place for me here. So I've definitely felt
Yeah.
that over the past few years at Georgetown as well.
Oh, that's really cool. They're not known for computer science. Is computer science something that you always were interested in? Computers and tech? Why did you pick?
Yeah,
Did you like first pick Georgetown and then say, I'll figure out the major?
honestly, yeah. So I was leaning
Okay.
towards economics. So I do have that double major aspect. I took some
Yeah.
economics classes freshman year. But then freshman spring was when I started my computer science career. I didn't take any computer science classes in college, but I really liked it. I liked the programming aspect. I liked the
You mean in
problem
high
solving.
school?
Or sorry, in high school. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I
Yeah.
really liked
Okay.
it. And
Mhm.
I, just wanted to keep taking classes. I wanted to continue learn how to program, learn the technical aspect of it. And it became my major, and
Yeah.
I've enjoyed a lot of it thus far. But
This
it
is an
is a
incredible time to be at the intersect of econ
yeah,
and like computer science.
definitely, yeah. It is a small program, though. I will say, as you said, Georgetown's much more known for the business school, the business aspect, and the government as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
being in the capital. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a small program, but I've enjoyed it thus far.
Okay, yeah. And before we return to the AI, and because I want to see like if you guys have been putting that to use, I'll just note that this is the Georgetown's campus. And which building is this? I mean, it's the main hall, right?
That's Healy Hall, yes.
Healy. And
Mhm.
then you had mentioned this earlier, but the students will hang out in the springtime.
Yeah, in the springtime and in the fall time as well, especially at the beginning when it's nice out. A lot of the students will hang out on the lawn, picnics, do homework, play spike ball, all that good stuff. It's very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a gorgeous Gothic campus. Okay, so before we dug into a little bit more about your background, which I really appreciate, and
Mhm.
there is one last question I have to ask about you getting into Georgetown. So we're trying to like ask questions people are interested in. So this will pull this out as a clip. But so Sunil, when you applied to Georgetown is hard to get into. It's one of the harder schools, of course. Yeah,
Yes.
I know how hard it is because I didn't apply to Harvard. I didn't think those schools were good enough for me. But I applied to Georgetown. I didn't get it. So it's got to be really, really
Yeah.
tough. But it does have that reputation. What do
Yeah.
you think, like, what would you credit in your background that enabled you to get in if you had to guess? I mean, I'm sure that's really hard to like corner it out, but do you have any
Yeah.
idea like
Hmm.
what you focused on to try to get you an edge?
It's a good question. I think in high school, I wanted to be a part of a lot of different things.
Mm.
And I think that helps. It wasn't sort of just like the academics. I think there are a lot of people, and I honestly am not super sure. I'm a couple years out of the college process now, but in my experience, when I was going into it, there are a lot of people who are brilliant, GPAs were incredible, went to great high schools, but they're, sometimes weren't involved in any extracurriculars or didn't really have that like niche to them. And I think, having that like extra niche, having sort of these clubs that I was in was nice. So one of the things that I was really involved in was Habitat for Humanity. So I was co-president of that, which was a great experience as well. I was involved in like the math club, the chess club, little things like that where, it wasn't just about solely academics and solely grades for me. It was sort of showing that I can be a part of different clubs. And I think Georgetown, as I was saying before, one of the best parts about it is that you can join all of these different clubs and you can find a community in all these different places on campus. So I think maybe they saw that was finding a community in different clubs in high school and thought it would translate over to Georgetown, which it definitely did. So that made it fun.
And you had good grades.
And yeah, good grades definitely doesn't hurt.
What motivated you to like join the Corp? Like why did you get involved? Why did you want to put on I assume you guys had a hat to be a cashier?
No hat. We do have our Corp shirt. But yeah, it's a great question. And it's hard as well because I joined freshman fall. And the way the club hiring works is it kind of, you join, get to campus and it immediately starts up. And there's like the cab fair where all the clubs line up on Healy Lawn and it's whatever. We have, I don't know the number, but 100, 200 clubs with like different tables and everybody's sort of like all over the place. It can be very, very overwhelming. But I saw the Corp. My brother, who I mentioned also went to Georgetown, was in the Corp as well. And so I sort of had that like insider look on what the Corp brought and what it was. And I loved it. It's this incredible community, right? It's not only just a job on campus. It's not only just being a cashier. And I also did not know I was going to end up getting into leadership or anything like that. But, as a freshman, you see like an opportunity to join a group where you're going to make immediately 30 to 40 new friends. Everybody's going to be super, welcoming and happy for you in every way possible. And you also have that like job aspect of it that, you're part of a business, you're part of this unique opportunity as well. And it's extremely difficult to get into. I luckily ended up getting in, but there was so many different aspects that sort of drew me to
it's hard to get a job at the Corp. Is that what you're saying?
It's difficult. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of the club culture at Georgetown. A lot of the clubs, there's a lot of people and, that you can't really have everybody get into everything. Otherwise that just wouldn't work. Right.
Some programs can struggle to recruit, but the Corp has really done an incredible job at maintaining this club type dynamic. I think that Dayton, I mentioned them earlier too. So two shout outs for Dayton, but they also do a pretty good job with it, but I don't think it's super common. I mean, HSA must do well. They hire like 800, 900 people.
I'm sure, yeah.
But if I remember, like my feeling has always been that the Corp like may have done the best job at like just making it something people really want to be a part of.
We have an incredible marketing department as well, who spearheads hiring in so many different ways. And we have outreach events, we'll have panels, we'll have speakers, we'll have tables around the campus, just to really sort of push, who we are and push like what we can bring to you.
So a lot of efforts, great team. Definitely. If you had to boil it down, is there any, I guess maybe you already did, but is there anything you would credit for its success in being able to like hire and being so in demand? Like what's the main thing?
I think a couple things. I think one, there's the history aspect, right? I mean, it's the idea that we've been a business for 54 years. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. Two, I think it is a really unique opportunity to get this. I sort of touched on this earlier, but to get access to this like community of friends and of people who like genuinely care about you. Like I have some of my best friends are in the Corp. It's my community. Like it's a very social environment. So having that aspect while also getting this, business experience, this leadership experience, or the opportunity to at least, get to this leadership experience. It's such a unique thing. I mean, at the end of the day, we're running, a real business. We're running something that's generating a lot of money, something that is a true company. So it's very unique to have that. Both sides of it. Some clubs will have a lot of networking opportunities, a lot of real professional experience. Georgetown obviously has a heavy emphasis on consulting and finance, as I mentioned before, because of the business
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah.
So those clubs are also great as well. But I think the Corp does a really good job of showing both the business while also the social as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Yeah, the two things that stand out to me is like maintaining this kind of club dynamic. And I think what, well, oh man, I'm missing my little notepad today, so it's like costing me my short-term memory.
No worries, no worries.
But another thing that I think stood out about how you attract students, well, I'll let the audience like extract their own insights. But it's clear that you guys have a great, you mentioned the history, and man, it was something else that just stuck with me. I can't remember. Um, I'll let it go. I'll let it go. All right. So
Sure.
so moving past that, like the pen that I had stuck into a topic was in the topic of OpenAI.
Yeah.
And the reason I was like that, I'm excited to talk to you about this. I'd been thinking about it. I haven't really spoken about it out loud. Was during the whole drama of the board overthrowing Sam Altman. You remember all that? Were you
Yes.
following it on Twitter like I was? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I follow bits and pieces, not to the extreme detail, but yeah, I'll keep up
Yeah,
with it.
it was interesting. Like the big picture was that you've got what is becoming like one of the world's most influential companies and has become that to a large extent. In the midst of its like really acceleration and the biggest like moment of prominence, like after GPT-3 5 or something had come out and people really starting to get it,
Yeah.
how smart and useful it could be. The board that was overseeing Sam fired him like right after a major release. It was a wild timing because it's just like the politics of that to me, looking at it as an outsider, just did not add up at all. And I think it didn't to a lot of people. Like, for
Mhm.
one, why did you do it? But for two, even if you had a good reason, this is like the worst month ever
Yes.
to try to
Yeah.
overthrow this guy.
Yeah.
And like some may expect, when it comes to understanding board and power dynamics and interaction with the public, and when they did overthrow him, he was able really quickly to rally people to like get get back on board.
Mhm.
Okay. The reason that made me think of like what you guys do in particular is because I think student-run businesses. My immediate thought was this board should have been. In fact, I think one of the this is a Georgetown alumni was on the board, if I remember correctly. Somebody, can you
I'm
catch me up on your experience in looking at it? And here's the question that I'm going to tie to, and I'm going to do a little research. But it was like, I think that the experience of being able to be on a board or interact with a board before you graduate is like really benefits you.
mm,
And I do really think that some people involved in that whole affair would have really benefited from more opportunities to be on boards. Um, and I don't know that everyone wasn't, or any particular people weren't, but it really felt like some of the lessons, the hard lessons you learn in school, would have come in handy
yeah.
for them. Do you have any thoughts on like how
I
that
mean,
plays out or some of the tougher experiences?
totally. I mean, as you can imagine, like there are some hard decisions that come across. And I think it's really good to sort of have the board be like a sounding board, right?
Mhm.
It's good to sort of have these discussions. And, there are some times where I'll say something and like a board member will be like, I completely disagree. And I think those discussions are really good to have because you have all of these different opinions sort of coming together to create one unified decision. So we have our like board meetings, we have all of this stuff to really just discuss everything. And at the end of the day, we all want the best for the Corp. We all want the same goal, right? So we always keep that in mind. And people will have different opinions, and sometimes we'll completely be unified. We'll have something that's, we have 7 total board members, 4 external, and then the 3 C-suite. So sometimes it'll be 7-0, and sometimes it'll be 4-3 in terms of what we should do. But it's important to sort of always discuss the pros and cons, do a cost benefit analysis of all this stuff. And I think it's really helpful to have the board there for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Boards can be a really great ally, or they can play a role that's like, you want to say less helpful, but in reality, the board is there to do a job. And sometimes that job's pretty complicated. So maybe that's something that we pull out of it. I
Yeah.
hope you have a good relationship with your boards.
Yeah, I do. And I 100% agree. I think communication and sort of establishing responsibilities, establishing sort of boundaries and all that stuff is extremely important. It's something that we tried to establish very early on in the board's term. So I
Yeah.
100% agree that communication tends to be the #1 priority.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's terrific that you get to have that unique experience, and
Yeah.
I think most of the students in these programs do, but you guys probably have an even more um, compelling one, student versus student.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so let's see. I think as we wrap up, it's been great getting to know you, doing a quick meetup on like what's going on with the Corp, what are they all about anyway. Um, One of the main people that'll watch this episode is students in other programs or staff, faculty that are interested in starting one, or people that are supporting ones that do exist. I like to dig in a little bit on what's going well for you, like right now, as well as some of the challenges.
Mhm.
I like to understand like specific initiatives you've done that have helped. One is make money. Like I said, a lot of people that they're trying to figure out business models, campaigns, efforts that they can apply that are going to make the program really sustainable, financially healthy.
Yeah.
Um, so I wonder, is there anything that you guys have been working on lately that stands out? Maybe it's a big strategic effort that you've been pushing for some reason. Maybe it's a campaign that had like disproportionate, like really great results. Um, Something like that. Is there anything that stands out for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a couple things. For starters, I think the products. I think the products are sort of the most important thing. One of the things we recently did was we used to have Compass Coffee as our provider, and we switched over to Swings. Things didn't work out with Compass, but we're really happy with
Mhm.
Swings, and we're really excited to work with them for the distant future. So that is something that we're really excited about. I think our coffee product has never been better, and
Okay.
also we have sort of.
So it was partially that was motivated by the quality of the
I mean,
coffee.
there were a couple. There's always a bunch of different nuances, and there's external factors and all of that stuff that come into play. But
So it was a
partially
big switch though.
totally, yeah.
Mhm.
Because we do have, as I mentioned before, we have our 4 big coffee services
Yeah.
for
It's a
external.
lot of
So
volume.
exactly, yeah. But we're very excited about that. I think that's going to be
Mhm.
something that we're looking to continue for the near future. And then another thing we're sort of thinking about, as we move forward into the sort of technology era, is how to get on sort of this online ordering platform. I think that's something that we're going to be considering in the next months. Ways to sort of partner with these online ordering platforms like a Starbucks per se. We're not partnering with Starbucks, but in the similar
Mhm.
model of the Starbucks online ordering, where you can order your
Right.
stuff, and it works out very well for some of our services because, if we have students that have back-to-back classes, they have a 15-minute gap in between those 2 classes, and sometimes there'll be rushes at our coffee services, and they won't be able to get their coffee in time. And I think getting this online ordering will allow them to sort of order it ahead. They can quickly grab their coffee and on the go from class to class, and it'll be sort of beneficial for us. So that's something we're going to be looking into in the coming months as well.
Yeah, that's huge. That's exciting. That sounds like a terrific effort. So is your plan to get that done like during your tenure?
Yes, ideally, yes.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, we will be following it. Look forward to hear how it plays out. Do you have a strategy that you're using for it, like who you're partnering with to get it
Yes.
built? Mhm.
So we're still working out the details right now. The university already has a partnership with Grubhub. A lot of the meal plan access is on Grubhub right now. So
Okay.
ideally, we can sort of work something out and get our services as well on Grubhub so that students can have, everything in one central location. There have been talks of, creating a Corp app as well. That has been something that has been brought up in previous years. So we can look at something like that. There's a lot of different ways we can sort of attack it. But yeah, it's definitely something that's in its early stages, but could be really, really fun and beneficial for the students moving
Yeah,
forward.
that's great. That's great. All right, exciting to hear. Um, what are like are there any big challenges that you guys have run into? Um,
Yeah.
Anything that you want to share? Mhm.
I think, most notably just in the political environment, the tariffs, that's sort of a difficulty that we're going to have to deal with over the last year, and something that, we're going to have to consider it,
That's big
things.
for your coffee business, isn't it?
Exactly. We have our big coffee business. We also have one of our services, has a lot of avocado products. We do like avocado toasts and like avocado on bagels and stuff like that. So avocados are also and potentially going to be affected. We have some of our snacks that are
Mm.
international, that may be affected. So having a close monitor on that will definitely be a challenge, and making sure that we're sort of, we don't want to be like completely like increasing our prices for the student. We want to have an affordable product, but that's sort of, once again, going back to our motto, students serving students. We always are proud. We always pride ourselves on having an affordable product, but
Yeah.
we also have to take into account the costs of making this product as well.
Well, a lot of people would be really happy if you leveraged the Georgetown connections and put a call in to the White House and maybe the coffee, the
Yeah,
avocados,
maybe, who knows?
lighten up on the tariffs there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a really interesting challenge that you guys are going to have to be working through along with a lot of other people. But I guess when it comes to the food service businesses that I was so excited about at the beginning of the call, these are some unique elements that you have to deal with. But what a great learning experience, right?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a great learning experience. It keeps me updated on the political environment. Keeps me in the news, and yeah, it's interesting as we move along with it.
Okay, cool. That raises a lot of questions for me, but I think we'll push them to another conversation at some point in the future. Um, the last thing I want to like touch on is we started with the AI a little bit. You're familiar, you're studying computer science. I saw, man, I keep bringing up Dayton. I got to talk to other people. But Dayton appointed somebody to be like their AIs are head of AI, something like
Mm,
that.
yeah.
And he's figuring out how to implement it in the company. Where are you with that? What are you thinking? Are you already implementing it in a lot of ways? Are you holding back? What's up?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a consideration. As I mentioned before, we have our IT department, which I've been in talks
Mhm.
with, as sort of how to, increase automation, how to become as efficient as possible. Because there are so many different AI tools, whether it's like accounting AI tools or sort of, I don't know, could be anything really that just makes, a company much more efficient. So we don't have any sort of, I can't give you any hardcore examples that we've been working on so far, but definitely sort of will be a
Does
focus.
it ever make your job easier?
I mean, I wouldn't say so. I think there's some times when AI can be helpful, just like searching up stuff and editing stuff. But in terms of my job, I think it's very much the communications aspect, like the people aspect, and like meetings and all of that stuff, which AI isn't really the best for, because at the end of the day, you have to have that human to human interaction. So
Yeah,
that's, I think, the core of my job is having that human to human interaction. So I guess it doesn't really play a huge part in that, but it's
yeah,
definitely really good to think about, just because we want to be as efficient as possible, and we want
mhm,
to move with the time, move with all of the AI booms. So um,
right.
it's definitely something to
I've been
consider.
really impressed personally. I've dived in and dived in. I've used it a lot.
Yeah.
So, I've used it a lot, and I find it to be like incredibly helpful. I mean, for one, we'll use it to create all the shorts that we'll publish from this
Mm.
video.
Yeah.
It just kind of automatically does that, although I don't. So partially it's finding products that are already using it really well. but we also use it to organize information, SOPs, and things
Totally.
of this nature. Um, we're gonna do so, and moving towards the wrap up here, we're gonna do some things that we'd love for you guys to attend. Of course, one is gonna center on AI and how the different schools are putting it into practice.
Yeah.
So I know we'll get a couple of use cases, so that might be of interest to you. And then we're also doing like some meetups for the leaders of the various student business programs and our members. So I'll send you an invite to that and would love to have you like loop in. I think it's great networking.
Yeah. I'd
Um,
be happy to be there.
I'd
Yeah.
love to meet you. Yeah. Sandra was your two-step predecessor and she was
Yeah.
actually on our board. So
Oh,
w- yeah, we'll be opening some board seats too, I
oh my
expect, to
God.
students in the coming year. Yeah, right now it's all non-students, but I think we're gonna like lean back into getting some students on here.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Um,
That's really a great
yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, we'll catch up with Sandra sometime.
Yeah.
But anyway, is there anything that you would like to mention or share with the folks that might be listening that stands out to you that we didn't cover? Like cool stuff that you're doing, or just maybe we'll see you. We're doing this year's conference actually at Penn, which is not too far from you in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. So maybe
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can chat with you more there.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. I mean, not much else. I feel like we covered most of sort of what the Corp's values are, who we are as a company, and yeah, it's been great talking to you. It's an amazing opportunity that I've happened upon here, um, and yeah, I've been enjoying it for the last couple of months.
Well, great job, Sunil. I'm excited for like the initiatives that you pointed out here, especially getting that app up and running. Seems like a great move. Excited for your tenure, and it was really a pleasure to meet you. Love getting updates on the Corp. You guys are super cool, and the campus is just so beautiful. So maybe someday we'll get to host a conference actually at Georgetown. That would be really great.
That'd be awesome.
So get that on your radar. All right, Sunil, I will let you go, and we will. I'll send you follow up on some of those events that you can attend. Would love to see you there, but we'll talk
Awesome.
soon. All
Sounds
right,
great.
see you
Yeah.
later.